You made a video on what to text a guy, right? In a scenario
Yeah.
where maybe you don't know how it is they feel about you. So in a
Mm-hmm.
scenario where maybe you're trying to find out, as from a girl's perspective, do they like me? Do they not like me? You said
Mm-hmm.
these are the two texts you should send a guy in order to find out how he feels about you. Now, I don't know if your perspective has changed on it, because it's been quite a long time since you made the video. Do you want me to remind you what you said, or do you kind of remember before we
Yeah.
jump?
I think I remember. I think it was sending them. It was toxic advice, right? It was more like on the petty. It was more on the petty side of things, and it was like telling them to delete your number.
Yeah.
And I forgot the other one.
So it was telling him to delete the number, or saying, we don't have to meet if you don't want to. And then a
Mm-hmm.
third thing you said in the video as well is you said that you could potentially just delete the number, and if they text you, say, who's this? I found that one quite funny. I liked the last one.
It's petty. It's petty shit, you know?
Yeah. My opinion on it, and I think you probably will agree with me, to be honest, only because, again, even if you asked me my perspective on things 3 years ago, it would be different from how it is now. But I personally think, right, that if you text a guy saying you can delete my number, it's low value. I think it comes across as impulsive. I think it's emotional. I think it's needy. And I also think, and I know you agree with this part too, because you're one of the people I learned this from. I think if a guy really wants to talk to you, he will reach out to you regardless, right? I think silence is the best way to get someone to reach out to you.
100%. I mean, I always give two types of advice when I work with people. I give them the healthy advice, and I give them the toxic advice, and they pick which one of the two they want. When you do that and a guy secretly likes you and he's just playing the game, a lot of the times they'll drop the games they're playing because they see they're about to fully lose you. A lot of times people are bluffing when they're playing the game. When they like you and they really like you, but they're using a strategy somebody taught them by being cold and being distant, because naturally no guy would do that. The only kind of guys that would do that are, one, the guys that don't like you, or two, guys that are playing the game. Because naturally, when you like somebody, you're not going to have the discipline to text them and wait a long time. That's just, it's not how it works when you like them. So what that does is what Robert Greene would call what do you call it? Stirring up the waters to catch the fish. You know, you're pretty much creating some chaos, and if he's really there, he'll pop out and you'll be able to catch it more easily. But that's a toxic way of doing things, and that's when you just want a result. Obviously, the most healthy way to do it is just wait. But if you want to see how much he likes you right now and you don't have the patience, then go ahead and say, delete my number. You know, whichever way you want to.
I actually agree with one of the things you said there, which is quite interesting. So you said there's two reasons a guy would not be responding to you. Either he's not interested or he's playing games. Now, your solution of texting him saying you can delete my number would only work, obviously, in the scenario where he's playing games. Now, would you say, I know you couldn't possibly know this, but if you had to put a statistic on it, what percentage of times would you say a guy is playing a game versus just not being interested if he's ignoring a girl?
I don't know. I really wish I knew the number.
Yeah. I would, I mean, obviously, I don't expect you to. We don't have statistics on it, but I would say it's probably more likely he just doesn't like her. Because I don't know if Corey Wayne put a percentage on it. He thinks that 3% of men know game, but that's just a random statistic he's come up with. I don't know what basis he has for that.
I mean, sometimes the guy does like you, but you gave him so much power that he becomes arrogant, and he'll start taking a long time to text you. And the only time that he'll wake up from his arrogancy is when you give him a dose of reality that you're gonna leave him. Because sometimes women make the mistake of giving the guy too much validation, which is nothing wrong with that, but that sometimes you gotta understand power corrupts, and a form of power is knowing that somebody will not forget you. That is a form of power. And that kind of form of power, some guys just cannot take it, and they'll begin to take advantage of the woman. You know, they may have love them, but sometimes they have such an attachment style that's kind of skewed that as soon as a guy feels like she likes them, they lose interest. That I'm like that. When I know the girl likes me, I'll develop a certain almost like coldness, which is a sign of my fucked upness. But it's something that actually makes the woman like me even more. you know, and consequently, her reaction to my coldness makes me even more cold. Isn't that sad?
On the thing we were talking about before, so in the scenario where obviously a guy doesn't like the guy does like the girl, but he's playing games, I agree with you. Actually, I think that is a good thing to do because you're forcing their hand. But I think definitely if the guy doesn't like the girl, in the video you said he'll qualify himself to make you not delete his number, right? And in doing that, it creates attraction. So I wanted to get your opinion on this and talk about the qualification part. My opinion, from kind of listening to Todd talk about qualification all the time, and he makes it sound like a science, right? I think that to create attraction through making someone qualify, it has to be done several times, or it has to be done consistently or on several occasions for it to be like a sustainable attraction that's created, right? As opposed to just in the moment attraction.
Yeah, of course. I mean, qualification is more intense when they feel like you're about to lose them. It has to be an emotional sensation that they're about to lose you. That feeling of like, oh my God, this person is the right person for me, but I'm about to lose them. That will make them qualify themselves. So in order for them to qualify themselves, you have to put them in a position where they feel like they're going to lose you, or else that qualification is not going to have an emotional visceral reaction when they qualify themselves. You know, they have to be waiting for you. They have to say who they are.
If like a woman came to you today and said, hey, Alexis, so I'm talking to this guy, I really like him. We've been talking for 3 weeks. I don't know if he's playing a game with me or not, but he's being quite aloof. He's not really responding to me. He was texting me before we met up, and now he's not. Right now, today, if you didn't know if he's playing a game or not, and there were no signs to tell that, would you tell her to text him, delete this number, or would you tell her to just leave him alone?
No, absolutely not. I would just stop chasing. Stop chasing. Get cold on her. Get cold on him. You see, the only time when I would go with delete my number is if the woman is so desperate and she cannot wait the weeks to see things unfold, and that she just cannot live her day properly because she's so anxious. Then go ahead and send that shit, because this is not even about him no more. It's about you. Get that response. You know, the only time when I advocate to be super needy, and there is a time for everything. You got to understand this. There's a time to attack and there's a time to retreat. Sometimes you got to retreat because time is more valuable than anything else. It's when you just cannot think properly. Go ahead and call them. Send them those text messages. Send them fucking flowers, for God's sake. You just want to get a clear no so that you can think properly, so that you can move on. That is the only time. It has nothing to do with the guy, and it has nothing to do with getting the guy, to be quite honest with you. It's all about you getting your answer so that you can move on.
You actually bring up a really good point, because here's where I can actually take a bit of advice from you, right? I've advised some girls and tried to help them, and you've definitely seen this. You know those girls who are just so far gone with a guy, that the guy's treating them so badly, he's walking all over them, and you're telling them, leave him alone, stop messaging him, leave him alone, but they just keep going back and back and back. I still haven't found a way to deal with girls like that.
Well, that's the beauty of it, is that a lot of guys get mad that I teach this, and I say that if you do this well enough, it's not going to matter if I'm the one coaching her. She's still going to come back to you. You could tell somebody who's in a cult that they're in a cult, and they're not going to be able to see that they're in a cult. You know, it takes time and perspective for people to wake up. And that means that they're going to have to go through the same bullshit, and they're going to have to learn themselves. It is not even the guy's fault. It is their fault. When a woman is in that situation, I just say, go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. Just realize that it is not going to work. I'm telling you, walk through the fires of hell. Just know where you're going. I just want you to be conscious. I don't want you to lie to yourself. I don't want you to say, this might work. No. I want you to say, as you're walking to his house, I'm getting played. Just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. We don't have to change anything. You can keep sucking that dick as much as you want. Just know you're getting played, because sooner or later, you're going to wake up. That's all. Just do what you got to do, you know? Because conscious awareness is the first key to waking up. So it's kind of like, you know, go ahead. Just say to yourself, when you look at yourself in the mirror, just keep saying to yourself, you're getting played. Because sooner or later, you're going to wake up. You can't force people, unfortunately, you know.
What's your experience been like coaching men versus women? Because I've only really coached women. So I have more knowledge on coaching men, but I've never actually done it. And before you answer it, actually, reason is, Delexis, it's seen as this taboo thing when you teach it to men. If you're teaching men how to date women and manipulate women, it's this big taboo, controversial thing. But when you're teaching it to women, it's seen as like you're empowering women in society. And I've kind of struggled with that.
I mean, I'll make the same kind of video. I'll make the video, how to know if a girl likes you. And I'll make the same video, how to know if a guy likes you. And the one for guys will get demonetized. So it's basically, I mean, you know, you get different kinds of problems. You know, women call me to how to keep the guy. And what's ironic is guys call me how to get the girl. But they, you know, it's for sex. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference, you know. But coaching both genders definitely gives you a pretty well-rounded perspective. You know, generally more women ask for coaching than men do. Generally, more women go to the seminars per ratio than men do, which is you know kind of weird. But you know, I have no conclusions.
I have an opinion on that. Let me know what you think. So, as to why women go to the seminars, that might be because of you, right? Maybe because they resonate with you as a character, they want to go see you there. But as for the coaching, from everything I've studied, it always seems like men are more likely to buy these self-help or these dating things because they're just more testosterone driven. They're more kind of like driven to go out and get their dick wet and go out and do these things. So it really surprises me that you're saying that you've got more coaching sessions booked from women than men.
Understand, bro, most people who join cults, 70% are women. Women are more apt to seek help than men do. It's just how it is. Women buy the most books. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. But all I know is that women join most religions, they join most cults, they join most spiritual communities. It's usually women, you know? I don't know what that says about guys, but I don't know what that says about women either, but it is kind of interesting.
Who in the dating scene made you want to start up a YouTube channel? And it might not even be someone in the dating scene. What made you like want to actually put your opinions out there and start teaching people this?
It really wasn't nothing linear. I used to make videos on how to stop smoking weed, the irony, right? And then I started making videos on meditation. I pretty much was just making videos on what I knew, you know? And then like, when I was meditating, something just told me just make videos on dating advice, which I was resisting. That's why I called myself Alex and not my name, because I didn't want people to find out. But I did it and it worked out. You know, I mean, it was nothing like somebody asked me to do it. It just came. You know what I'm saying? It just happened. I taught what I knew. You know, I wasn't good with women. I knew how to approach women, you know, and I always said that in my videos. I wasn't like killing it. I had a problem with keeping women at that time, and I always talked about it. But I know how to get them, but I couldn't keep them. You know, so I always stayed in my lane until I felt comfortable, until I overcame my sticking points, and then I could teach about that. You know, but it wasn't nothing like from the start that people that I was gonna do that. Because if I knew, then I would have started earlier.
I find a lot of people that get into game and really studying seduction, they turn polyamorous at some point, right?
Why do you think that? Why do you think that?
Well, I think potentially because the abundance they have makes them less likely to want to commit. Especially the men are more wired to want to see if there's always something shinier or better out there for them to obtain, right?
Well, what's funny is that most of the people in polyamorous relationship are women.
Really?
Most of the people who, of course, dude. I mean, it's mostly a guy with two women and a woman with two guys. And what's ironic about it, it's usually the women who suggest getting another girl. It's not the guy. You think about it. You're a guy. You are a blue pill. What's a blue pill? The guys who are super nice. What are they?
Yeah.
They would never suggest having a threesome. In fact, they would never even ask their girlfriends if they're bisexual, because they assume she's straight. Like they would never ask their girlfriend that. They think that's so out of this world. Little do they know that most women are, not most women, but a good percentage of them are bisexual. Now, what tends to happen is that usually women begin to suggest another girlfriend, not within a few months. It's usually like after a year or a few years. If you read these stories of how they form, you see that The guy was dating a girl. A few years later, she suggests it, and the only reason why she suggests it is because she's bored. She feels like maybe the guy's bored. And usually, almost all the time, the guy says yes, unless the guy's from Mexico, Italy, where they're very sexist and they see that as a threat against them.
Yeah.
But it's usually the woman who suggests it, which indicates to me that a lot of women want these kind of things, and a lot of guys want it, but that they're just afraid to ask.
Yeah.
You know, which I don't know the number of women who say yes to it, but I would say 10% would, or at least would be open to the idea. And so many dudes that's their fantasy, and it's right in front of them, and all they got to do is just ask, because the woman is ashamed of asking. It takes a certain kind of woman to suggest is that, and I'm gonna be honest, but women are more flexible than men are with relationships. They're just more flexible. They're wired to be more flexible. They've had to be more flexible. The highest value man is they know that he's banging a whole bunch of women, and they just have to accept it. You know, like it's been like that for ages. I mean, it's been unfair for women. So the women who survived accepted that unfairness, which is kind of fucked up. But you know, we do the same thing with dogs. We only pick the ones that are, you know, obedient in a way, right? Yeah.
What do you kind of define as high value?
It depends what you consider high value. That's all definition. That's all based on what you value. You get what I'm saying? Like, what you consider high value may not be high value for me. Trust me. You know, like I like a certain kind of girl that you might not like. You know, so it's kind of like we consider our general values, right? Good people. Maybe will I bring her to my mom test? You know,
yeah,
that's like general. But then you have individual high value, where you would pick that thing you're individually attracted to, that one thing that everyone agrees is attractive.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I do think there are probably some general high value things though, for sure, because I agree with you. I think on an individual basis, you can find certain traits high value in someone that other people don't. But I think not being neat, like, you know, if you look at the needy behavior that derives from maybe a lack of thought process or fulfillment going on elsewhere. So I think if you get fulfillment and happiness from multiple sources, I definitely personally think that's at least one trait of being high value.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's just being a happy person in general, right? That's 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, outside of that, I would go with just emotional stability. Oh, even not even emotional stability. I would just go with self-awareness. You know, self-awareness is to me like the most important thing, because when you're self-aware, you could be unstable, but that don't mean you're going to be unstable forever. You know, like Malcolm X was a pimp at one time, and he was a criminal, but he was a self-aware guy, and he believed in what Islam said and deeply believed in it to the point that he was their representative. But he was so self-aware that he was able to acknowledge when they were wrong and actually backed away from something that he publicly believed in. That is the flexibility of mind, which I think comes from self-awareness. And I think that to me is in the top three most important things: self-awareness.
Yeah.
That means you're somebody whom, if I speak some sense into you, you're gonna listen. I could critique you, and you're gonna accept it and not take it personal.
A lot of people seem unhappy today, right? Like in the dating world, like girls are complaining men don't want to commit, that men are messing them about. Men are complaining that, you know, maybe men have the same perspective. The girls they like don't want to commit to them. Girls are cheating on them. What do you kind of see the dating scene? Because you're quite a prominent voice in the scene. Where do you see the dating scene going now? We've got social media. We've got all these dating apps, and I know it's been around for 5-6 years, but where do you kind of see it going? Do you think the divorce rates, for one of many questions, is going to go down? Do you think people are going to be more willing to commit? Where do you kind of see the dating scene going in the next few years?
I think people are going to have a harder time getting over their exes, which is going to make it harder for them to connect with the current people they're with. And the reason why is because they're able to stalk them on the internet. Usually when somebody broke up with you, you will never see them ever again. They'll never pick up your phone calls And before even phone, you never even saw the people who you broke up with. Well, actually, you would, because most of the time you lived in a small town and you saw them the same time, which I kind of just contradicted myself. But generally, I would think the fact that you could just see them anytime, any time of the day on your phone, that's a problem. That makes it a lot harder for people to get over their exes. On top of the fact that a lot of people just feel generally unhappy with their lives because of social media, because all of us are always trying to make each other jealous. Most of the things we post is to show people that, hey, my life could be better than yours deep down. We just want to, in fact, the more I do things that make people feel jealous, the more people watch my stories, which is kind of crazy. They actually have this sadistic desire to just maybe, I don't know, it's weird. But I think that's generally gonna add to more unhappier relationships. And also the fact that women have access to higher value men that they couldn't have before by just a simple message. It's easier to cheat. It's quicker to cheat. Yeah, it doesn't look too good, to be honest with you. It just means more clients.
You said that people in general are going to struggle to get over their ex because they can see their ex on their social profiles. But then I was also thinking, but the fact that these social media is so abundantly available and it's everywhere, that also means people are more likely to cheat in the first place, like you said, right? Because there's just so many options available. And I feel like that's more so for women, actually. I feel like you could be an average looking girl, but if you upload, some slightly revealing pictures and you're looking good on Tinder, as an example, you could have hundreds of matches within a few hours. And so I think it's a lot easier for them to have that abundance than it is for males today, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's usually the few guys. It's usually like the 10% of guys that get most of the women, So, and it is what it is, but you got to take advantage of that, because that means if you put yourself in that 10%, you're gonna see a different side of women that you didn't see before. All of a sudden, they like to suck dick. All of a sudden, they're into women all of a sudden with you, but not with their exes. So women, you just see a completely different side. In fact, it's so different. You begin to see them and not value them. Because it's just so easy. And that causes the women to act more needier. It makes them more needier. I don't know. It's just a whole big cycle. But it's not a good future for anybody, to be honest with you, because it's almost like it's self-destructive. It really is.
And what's your answer for it? You've given me your opinion on it. What's your answer for it?
What? For what?
What's the solution to the problem you've just described?
I mean, I could think of it's not doable. Because it's just humans are just naturally self-destructive in general.
I meant on an individual basis. Sorry. So I get that obviously you can't change the general public's perception, but on an individual basis.
Delete social media. Delete social media. Think about it. When you don't you think of a woman differently when she tells you she has no social media?
Oh, 100%.
She's just different. You're like, oh my God, this is, honest God, that's a point in my book. When a woman does not have social media, that's a point. That's a fucking point. Literally deleting social media, I'm telling you, that's why I'm saying it's not practical.
Yeah.
But deleting social media will completely give you the most benefit. Any other thing you could ever do, deleting social media will give you the most happiness. But it's not gonna do. That's not gonna happen. It's here to stay. So we have to find another way to do it. And I think, it's finding a purpose in life, developing a sense of purpose.
Mastery. Everyone should read Mastery.
That's the next solution, because that will naturally narrow the focus of your vision into something greater than yourself. These things are destroying you. They're taking away your creative energy. You want to be able to create creative energy, and that comes through practice. Your brain naturally needs to be in solitude and just complete silence. It has to have it. And today's society is pretty much promoting the opposite for the sake of money. We not only take away the resources of Earth, we also use our own psyche. We also take that also. It's crazy. You know?
Todd is, in my opinion, Alexis, I think he's at the level that everyone needs to reach in terms of dating coach. He's not got long-term attraction knowledge, right? We don't know that. There's no evidence to prove that he's got that.
He doesn't. That's what pickup lacks. They know how to get you girls, but they don't have that quality of keeping the girls. And I think I know why. I think I know why, and I know the solution for it. To be honest with you, it took a lot of trial and errors, but there's definitely a solution for it. But because pickup artists they tell you to double text. I've heard them say that.
Todd said that.
I mean, yeah, that is a cardinal sin. That is legit a cardinal sin. You know, everything when it comes to meeting a woman, he's perfect at. But it's nobody's perfect, right? But he's close to perfect, though. He's close to perfect.
He is. But one thing I find with the advice he gives is, I think, so game is basically, in my opinion, emulating high value. When you're teaching someone game, you're emulating the behaviors, the characteristics of a high value person. I personally think if you're emulating that long term, the more time you spend around them, the more they're going to see through it. But I think guys like Todd, who actually are high value, the longer time a girl spends around them, the more they're actually going to see through that he is high value. So I think it's quite dangerous. I think pickup really needs to implement some strategies from long-term attraction, like you or like AMS talk about. But then even AMS, I have problems with him because he doesn't even know about pickup. He doesn't. Yeah.
Exactly. Nah, he doesn't. I mean, they're two completely different perspectives. Todd will teach you the part that alpha male strategies doesn't believe in, you know, and AMS teaches what Todd doesn't teach. I mean, they pretty much complete each other, if you ask me.
All right, Alexis, I won't take up any more of your time, bro. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Good luck with your channel, man. I wish you luck, man. Good luck with it, man. Let's hope the algorithm treats you good.
Definitely. I'm studying it every day, so I'm sure it will. Thank you, bro.
Good.